Hey everybody. Hopefully not everybody leaves the room now. So I'm Miftakhov, founder, CEO of ZeroAvia. I'm going to tell you about the future of aviation and what we call a green print of a clean future of flight. So we are a company that builds new types of technology for bringing commercial aircraft, large commercial aircraft, to truly zero-emission future. And we're solving this problem over the last 7 years. We're getting close to production, getting close to getting these engines, getting this aircraft up in the air. We'll tell you more about what the problem is. Why should we care all about aviation? I don't know how many of you have flown to this event, maybe a show of hands. Yeah, so maybe 20, 30%. Yeah, usually when I go to these conferences, 50, 60, 70%, some long distance flights. The reality of it today is that aviation, while a small percentage of the carbon footprint, it is actually quite a large percentage of the human climate impact. And the reason for that is that because of the high altitude emissions, because we fly at 40,000 feet up in the air, the high altitude nature of the emissions drives disproportional amount of impact. So it's not just about carbon, it's about nitrogen oxides, it's about high temperature water vapor, all those contrails, all those effects, they add up. And the academic consensus right now is that this can be 2 to 3x on top of the carbon alone. And of course on the carbon, as you can see, we are growing very, very fast. It's one of the fastest growing sectors in transportation, one of the fastest growing emitters. And again, it's not just about carbon. So we really need to get away, not just from carbon, but also from combustion. So it's really, really a huge problem. So what we have done at ZeroAvia from the very beginning, about 7 years ago, after my previous company was acquired, which was already in the electric transportation space, we built the world's largest network of smart charging systems for electric vehicles. We looked at all kinds of technologies that can bring us to the future of aviation in a true zero-emission fashion, taking care of all of those sources of climate impact. And we zoomed in on what we call a hydrogen electric approach. We looked at batteries, hybrids, sustainable aviation fuels, various other ways, and decided that hydrogen electric modality is the best one. So what does that mean? It's hydrogen stored on board the aircraft, then goes through the fuel cells, produces electricity, and then electricity runs the electric motors that then rotate the propellers in smaller planes and a familiar jet engine fans in the larger airplanes. So that's how we think we're going to get aviation to the new future. The way it works, we have all these technologies developed in-house. We have a great location here right in the Seattle area in Everett, together with our partnerships with Alaska and a number of others. We're building this right here. We've done some interesting demonstrations already, and this is how we're going to bring aviation from the smaller aircraft to the larger aircraft to the new future. We have made some very historic test flights over the last years. I actually was a test pilot in our very first flying vehicle. It was 2019 in California, a small 6-seat aircraft. Now we're flying the full-size aircraft for our first launch engine. This is a 20-seat aircraft in the UK. So the company is between Washington State, California State in the US, and 3 locations in the UK. So really global footprint, just ranked #1 green tech company in the US. We think, of course, it expands to a worldwide ranking as well. So these are some of the tests that we're doing. Here in Everett, just a few miles up north, we have this aircraft that will be our next size test vehicle. You can see a nice tail branding there. It's our partnership with Alaska Airlines, who's also an investor in the company. We also have some other notable local investors, Breakthrough Energy Ventures, Bill Gates Fund, Amazon Climate Pledge is an investor as well. So really great support from our partners and ecosystem. We have demonstrated power systems for this aircraft. You can see on the bottom right here. Last year, full-size system that can power this type of aircraft. This is, by the way, there's about 76 seats in Alaska configuration. Aircraft can go up to 80 seats in size. So it's not just about small air taxis, small planes for private use. It is about commercial aviation. It is about long distances. And this is just the beginning. We have also great vision together with our partners on the infrastructure. So frequently asked question when you go to players like United, American, Alaska Airlines, who are all our customers and investors. One of the first questions is where are you going to get all this fuel? Where will the hydrogen come from? Because today, majority of hydrogen is produced from what's called SMR, or steam methane reforming, which is itself producing a lot of emissions, a lot of carbon emissions. And we need something else, some different way to do it. Now, state of Washington is a great location for green hydrogen. And through Department of Energy and programs like that, we together, the industry, is putting in a lot of what's called hydrogen hubs for zero-emission hydrogen production. So you have electrolysis equipment that takes renewable electricity from the grid or from local renewable plants, takes water and splits water into hydrogen and oxygen, and that's how we get hydrogen at zero emission. So you have true zero emission across the board from the generation of fuel all the way to utilization of fuel. And with hydrogen electric approach, this is more efficient than combustion engines. So you need less fuel, less primary energy, and this is the most efficient way to utilize renewable energy in large aircraft, because the batteries, they're a little bit more efficient than hydrogen electric systems, but unfortunately for large aircraft, the fundamentals just don't work. You look at the theoretical energy density, you look at various other economical aspects of it, recycling, and it just doesn't work for large aircraft. Maybe for small aircraft, but for large aircraft, very difficult to see. So we have partnerships on the infrastructure side with some of the largest energy companies out there in the US, in Europe, and in Asia. So we're looking to bring all of this ecosystem together to all the major airports out there and all the smaller airports. Our most recent announcement around that was with all three major airports in Canada, for example, Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal International, Airbus, and ZeroAvia. We've announced a project, multi-year project, to bring all of those airports to pure hydrogen aviation. So really the first time when all the airports of a major country decided to really transition to this new fuel. Beyond the airports, beyond some of the investors that I mentioned, we have great support from the ecosystem. We have customers that you will all recognize, a lot of names here I already mentioned. Notably, we also were able to get partnerships with aircraft manufacturers. So you have a lot of companies out there that are working on sustainable aviation that are trying to do everything themselves. So they build the propulsion systems, they build the aircrafts, they build the networks, operating networks. It's great to have that level of vertical integration, but every new level you take on increases the complexity, increases the cost. And we thought from the very beginning that there are a lot of people out there who know how to build great aircraft. These are aircraft manufacturers that we have, from Textron, which is Cessna, other small planes, all the way to Airbus and Boeing, yeah? And the best way to do what we do is to focus our innovation on the true bottleneck, which is fuel and propulsion, and work with these aircraft manufacturers to bring this future to market. So we have relationships with all the major aircraft manufacturers across all the segments, all the sizes of aircraft that we're going to bring to market, starting with Textron. In just 2 years, or within the next 2 years, we're going to have first passenger operations of our aircraft. We have production plants unveiled here in the state of Washington, so some familiar faces here, hopefully, on the screen. This, again, just a few miles up north. our production facility. And really want to finish here with some quotations from back from New York Times a little bit over 100 years ago, I think, or around 100 years ago, when they said, hey, flying machines are impossible and we're going to have millions of years before that's possible. Sometimes we hear that as well in response to our vision, and our message is we are going to solve this problem through ingenuity, through technology. We're very optimistic, and within the next 2 years, you will all see this type of aircraft, a zero-emission aircraft up in the air, and you will be able to buy tickets, and we'll all celebrate. Thank you.